Thank you very much, Sophie, for that beautiful poem. I would now like to call on Sean Cadden.
Thanks very much to the Eastside Irish American Club and to the Westside Irish American Club for the invitation and for the hospitality we have got for the last few days. It's really my wife Peggy that should be up here, but she thinks I'm a better public speaker than her. I'm not too sure. She got great help from Tommy Gannon, who's here tonight, Tina O'Grady, Mary Patrice Chambers in Cleveland, the Rattling Sisters in Denver, Colorado, Mick Mulcrone, Margaret Poole, Dominic O'Grady, Margaret Redmond and Mary Lang of Ireland. The question that one would have to ask is in June 1923, when this letter was written, the Civil War was over for about 2 months. And you'd expect that an American letter at that time would have been put behind the clock on the mantelpiece rather than being hidden away. But the Civil War wasn't over for the Republican losing side. They were still being raided by the army and police. And Tom Mulcrone knew that if he was raided and found with this particular letter, that he could be interned for 6 months or more. In the 1930s, there was a scheme, a pension scheme for the victims of people in the War of Independence and Civil War. And Jim Morden's mother applied for a pension. And among the letters in the application is a letter that she wrote to De Valera shortly after he became Prime Minister in 1932, thanking him for stopping police raids on her house. And that was 10 years after the Civil War finished. There were several documents in the collection, but Peggy concentrated on one. It was an 8-page letter written by a very angry man from 7104 Lawn Avenue, Cleveland. And Tina O'Grady and Tom brought us out to Lawn Avenue and showed us the house, and that's still there. But the letter was written in 1923 and it was signed John. And that was all we had to go on to find out who was John in Cleveland. We thought that John originally was Tom Mulcrone's brother John. But when we went looking at Tom's brother John, he had married in Castlebar in 1903, and at this stage he was nearly 60, so we ruled him out. When we got a copy of the letter later on, Peggy saw the comment in it, how is our William? And she said, William is not a Mulcrone name, it's a Chambers name. So we looked at the 1911 census, and in the townland of Dorada, which is next to Doon's House, where the letters were found, there was a Chambers family with a John and a William. I checked the Ellis Island records, and in April 1950, John Chambers of Dorada, and that was the address they gave, immigrated to America. We were fairly sure at that stage we had the right John, but he was dead for 60 years, and all we had was the letter that he had from 1923. We didn't have many contacts in Cleveland, but Margaret Poole and Lecturemara gave us the number of his oldest daughter, Mary Patrice. And she's 95, I don't think she made it here today. But I rang Mary Patrice anyway and explained what I was looking for, and I think she thought I was some kind of con man. I rang, she told me to ring her brother Bill. So I rang Bill, and I didn't convince him either. It's not too easy to pull the wool over these Cleveland people, I'm afraid. But I asked for Mick Mulchrone's help at that stage. Mick was born and bred in Cleveland, and he made a phone call, and he got talking to Bill's wife, Kathleen Coney, who's here. And between them, they were able to identify places and names in Cleveland, so she knew that at that stage that the query was genuine. She said she wasn't very optimistic that she'd come up with John's handwriting, but about a week later we got an email with 2 attachments on it. The front page of 2 letters, one written in 1935 and the other original letter written in 1923. The handwriting was identical. We had the right John. Now, sadly, Bill Chambers died a few weeks after this correspondence. Who was John Chambers? He was son of Francis Chambers and Mary Gannon Chambers of Dorada. He was born in 1892. I've been told to keep this thing short, so I have to leave out bits of it. But we'll go on to the next slide, and that's his brother William. William was interned during the Civil War, and after the Civil War, he came over to John in Cleveland, and William went on to found the Chambers Funeral Home. And I met his grandson Danny here, and some more of that yesterday.
His daughter's here too. Oh, his daughter. Wow.
You might ask, why was John Chambers? He was 8 years in Cleveland at this stage. And he was 31 years of age. Why has he such an interest in Ireland? One has to look at the Newport where he was reared, and there was a huge amount of political activity there when John was grown up. You had the ancient order of Hibernians that were strong in Ireland at that time, but they have faded out there now. They have survived better in Cleveland. You had the Irish Republican Brotherhood, or Clan Gael as they were called in Cleveland. You had what only Irish people would know of. You had the United Irish League. They were formed in 1898 to speed up the division of land of the land that had to be divided. And it appears that it was the United Irish League that was the most active of those organisations. And in 1915 then, or 1914, the Volunteers, the precursor of the IRA, was formed. And you had 2 divisions in the ancient order of Hibernians. You had 2 divisions in the United Irish League. And 6 months after the Volunteers were founded, they split. John Chambers went to America 6 months after that split. I think a very disappointed man. Now, we have on the wall over there, we have lists of people that attended UIL meetings in Newport in 1914. And in an after-mass meeting there, 400 men attended a UIL meeting. I think the Democratic Party would be doing quite happy if they got 400 men to a meeting during election time. But John Chambers was connected to a lot of, related to a lot of the officers in the United Irish League. And a few weeks after that meeting, there was a junior branch, the breakaway group, had an AGM, and John Chambers' first cousin, John Halloran, was appointed president. Martin Mulcahy, his brother-in-law, was appointed chairman, and the secretary was Mike O'Grady, and went to Cleveland with him 6 months or a year later, and we have two of his grandchildren here with us. Tina and Tom O'Grady have come up from Columbus. When John Chambers came to America, he was accompanied by Mike O'Grady, his second cousin, and by James Sweeney of Knockloker, a few miles back the road. I'm sure the three of them were on the boat, mated on the boat together, but when they were coming through Ellis Island, they had to part. I think maybe they felt if one was refused entry, that they would be associated with the other pair. When John came he went initially to Geneva, New York, and he was in digs there with his friend Tommy Gannon, and Tommy Gannon's grandson is here tonight. Might have the two Gannons there. That's Tommy Gannon and John Chambers, about 1925. John Chambers was best man for Tom Gannon about a week after he wrote the letter. Now, Mike O'Grady was a very close neighbour of John Chambers's, and he was his second cousin, and they were just across the road from each other. And Mike O'Grady married the sister of James Sweeney that came to Cleveland with them in 1980. And that was a very big family of Sweeneys. There was 14 Sweeneys in it, and 10 of those came to Cleveland. I think they have left a lot of descendants in Cleveland, and quite a few of them in the legal profession. John Chambers was a carpenter for the city of Cleveland, and he married Mary Masterson from Ackle in 1928, and they went on to have 7 children. One of his children was Father Clarence, there here at the front. This man's second from the right at the back was John Chambers, and that's Mary Patrice, his daughter, next to him. And Mary is the lady in brown in the centre at the back. And the two here on the left is Tom Gannon and his wife, grandfather. It's hard to watch the picture, and Father Clarence is there at the front. We think they're all related. But John Chambers and Mary Patrice are the two on the far right. And Mary, his wife Mary is in the centre in a brown outfit. And the two on this side are Tom Gannon and his wife. Mike O'Grady had 5 children. One of his children he called Pierce. He was better known as Pete here in Cleveland, or in Cleveland. And Pierce in later years became chairman of the Democratic Party in Ohio and moved to Columbus. And that's why his grandchildren are coming up to see us from Columbus today. Only Mary Patrice and Sheila Cacko from John's family are still alive, but neither of them were able to make it today. In today's jargon, one could say that John Chambers and Mike O'Grady were radicalised by the intense political activity in Newport in the 1920s. I hope this has given an indication of the background and the character of John Chambers and why he wrote the letter and the flavour of life in Newport and Cleveland in the early 1920s.